Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder, to a gameplay of the German premium destroyer that is the Z20 the Karl Galster. There are multiple reasons why I want to show you a gameplay in this ship, and it has to do with things that have changed or things that are necessary to have a look at. Before I talk about this, let me just apologize to you for the lack of content lately. Still a lot of health issues, especially the allergies. They have gone wild since the weather is so nice. Then there is still Easter, so a lot of family stuff to do. And yeah, there is just a lot of stuff that I'm waiting for within War Thunder before I play another tank, another ship, another plane, and that is that as I'm recording this video, tomorrow the economy changes will hit, and then you have to play under those economy changes to, well, cover them. Yeah, so let's talk about the gameplay here, and you can see by accident or by coincidence one of my clan members has gone into this match with me. Secret documents are appropriate, and this is why we have to also talk about some of the ship characteristics. So the Z20, the Karl Galster, it was once upon a time one of the strongest ships that we had, especially in the destroyer department. That was before the cruisers were introduced, and that was before the armor piercing was removed. So my reasons for covering the ship today, not in a review but in a discussion video, is that I need to still research the Nürnberg, and playing the Köln or the Emden is out of the question, since, you know, this damage chain reaction mechanic is still in place, and I just cannot afford it to pay 26,000 silver lines on top of the high ammunition costs for the cruisers with very little in return, which is deeply frustrating. So yeah, my only real option here is the German premium destroyer, which it gets sold for, right? And it got sold for quite a time, for quite a while. Then there is obviously looking at the Powercreep and the Nerf, and in particular the Nerf with the removal of the German 128mm AP getting removed from all German destroyers that have a 128mm gun. So that means from the type 1924 it got removed. Not from the type 19... what was it? Sorry. Not from the type 1939, the T22, but this AP also got removed. And then the Kanonenboot K2 never had the armor piercing to begin with, but the type 1934A, the type 1936 also saw the removal of this shell. So they got nothing to compensate for except a lousy distance use flak shell, which in my experience is not really worth it. And I think the best shell now is the stock HE, with just some situations where the base use HE is useful. The base use HE is actually not that great, because it has quite some percentage less of TNT filler, by 30%. So from 2.0 kilograms for the stock HE down to 1.4 kilograms. Just to give you a raw taste of what difference this makes, the American 127mm HE shell, the stock HE, has 3.3 kilograms. Yeah, that's quite a bit more. And even the semi-armor piercing has nearly as much TNT as the base use HE. And even the proximity fuse HE shell has 3.3 kilograms of TNT filler. And that's even before we talk about here the Russian 130mm. Let's have a look at the Project 70U Stroini as a comparison, and then we have 3.6 kilograms of TNT filler, and still 2 kilograms in the distance fuse or the proximity fuse HE shells, and again 2.35 kilograms of TNT in the semi-armor piercing. And even the British with the premium destroyer, the Hydra, have in their HE shell 3 kilograms. So the German HE shells are the weakest, and now the AP got removed. Yes, you still have that amazing DPM, and it's a full rundown on statistics and comparison, and maybe in the future I will make a ship review. I try to get a Drakinifel into the boat with me for a 5-minute guide on the Z20, the Karl Galster, so I can make a proper review on it, if you guys are interested in that in the first place. So why is the armor piercing removal such a bad thing? Well, simply because now the German destroyer line is the only destroyer line in the game throughout all 4 current nations that have no semi-armor piercing or armor piercing at all. And the base use HE is just not making up for it. That's a fact in the gameplay. Just think about engaging an enemy cruiser, which this destroyer on a regular basis has to deal with. And you just can't punch through the belt armor. As well as not really going here for disabling shots if an enemy ship goes bow in, because you just can destroy so much from the front with HE or base use HE. And also very often it is highly unreliable to go for the MRAC, even on a broadside destroyer, even with the base use HE. You very often pen it, you very often do damage too, including the magazines if you will, but you just don't let it blow up, which with an armor piercing shell you could do. The ship has a lot of drawbacks when it comes to the comparison with the Cowell, or then also, as I said, the Project 7 Stroini or the Haida. So first of all, it doesn't have as many guns as the Haida, which has 6. This one has 5, but that's still great, right? Yeah, but if you now look at some recent additions to the game, such as the USS Sumner, but in particular the Summers, they just now massively outdeal you in DPM purposes, especially the USS Summers, which have the same battle rating. Then the Tashkent just has also a significantly heavier broadside when it comes to the HE filler overall that you throw at the enemy. And then, yeah, even within the German tech tree, you have the Z20, the Navik-Zerstörer, at battle rating 4.7, and that has practically cruiser guns and will win every properly played engagement at range or even at shorter ranges against you, because it has the accuracy advantage, the hit power advantage, and so forth. So the Z20 in a nutshell got power creeped and nerfed at the same time. This is now for me personally really strange, since first of all this is a premium destroyer. It is true for the other German destroyers as well, but in particular this is a premium destroyer. People have paid money for it, and now it effectively got nerfed. That a vehicle or a vessel within War Thunder gets power creeped is normal. Sadly, it is normal. It shouldn't be the case, and you want to rely on your purchase, but you can't do this. And this is again a point of criticism. This is now complaining about all the stuff before we come to potential solutions. But as you can see, or as you can already imagine, those solutions are not really that easy, or Gaijin will probably never do them, since we have seen similar problems with other game modes such as RRB or Tank RB. So the battle that you see in the background is for multiple reasons outstandingly well. I had a lot of good RNG, I had a lot of good team gameplay, the enemies came at me one at a time, and some of the enemies were outright incompetent. So this is not the gameplay that you can expect. Normally it ends with you maybe winning 1, if you're lucky, 2 engagements versus other destroyers, and then you're done. Or an aircraft comes in and you just don't have the anti-aircraft capabilities to deny the enemy the suicide run or the Trollolo bomb drop with a 5-ton nuke or a 4,000-pound nuke, or the German Fritz X, which has a blast radius as an armor-piercing bomb. Oh! So there are so many things wrong here, and I could complain all day long. So what I can say is, don't buy the ship, and currently don't play German ships at all above a certain battle rating, let's say 3.0, 3.7. They're just not really enjoyable compared to the other nations' destroyers, and the difference is quite significant. So what are potential solutions for the current issue? Well, it is again a longer story. So the quickest solution would be to just change the battle rating from 4.3 to 4.0. The problem is that this would bring further power creep to all other nations, including then also the German tech tree. And this is what I don't want to see. But at the end, it is a potential solution. The next thing is a bit of a bigger project, but we have asked for this for quite some while, also for RRB and in particular tank RB, and this is decompression. And already we see some massive discrepancies within the destroyer fraction. Just imagine at 3.0 you have by far the worst destroyer in the game, that is the HMS Churchill. It is such a bad joke, it can't even handle some lower battle rating patrol boats, and that's before we talk about here ships like the Albatros, Project 206 or Project 159. And this is a destroyer at battle rating 3.7, and at 4.7 you have the Navikzerstörer, which has some fucking cruiser guns. And even at 4.0, you are ranging from ships from the capabilities in a brawl like the Project 7 Ustroini, which is then not really great, lack of TPM, lack of turret rotation speed, lack of survivability. And you then can engage a USS Sumner, which has 4 double turrets, a very high rate of fire, hard-hitting HE shells, but also has some 40mm as backups, the most torpedoes, as well as then well, everything that you want on a destroyer that no other destroyer has, or not a lot of other destroyers to be a bit more precise, and that is armor. And the anti-fragmentation armor is trolley as all hell, trust me on that. So this decompression, what we currently have from 3.7 to 4.7 should be from 3.7 to 5.7, and that's already the upper end for cruisers. Yes, the German Navikzerstörer can engage in theory and also in practice, as I found out, the Brooklyn or the Kirov. Yes, that's the thing. So currently it is not really nice for me personally to play destroyers at all, but the German destroyer that has no armor piercing, so he has no way of defend itself versus a cruiser aside from torpedoes, but then you know, to see this as a really reliable offensive weapon, it's far from reality. And the third supposed change is give the armor piercing back. It might be unhistorical, but for gameplay purposes, I think it is mandatory. And if you have a look at unhistorical things, look at the Kirov, which has an 11.0 second reload, and then look at the dev block. So it is the lack of continuity in the argumentation that is here one thing that I want to point out. Let's have a quick look at the results. 61,000 civilians, 11,000 vehicle research modification points, and that we got with a 15% booster on top of a 10% global RP booster. First in team, 13,000 ship damage, 7 ships destroyed, 3 assists. We are by far the best player in the game. And yeah, that's it for me today. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this. Again, sorry for the lack of content. Please give this video a like if it did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other in the skies, on the battlefields, and on the waves of War Thunder.